welcome to Let's Talk AppSecOps. My name is Mark Lambert, Vice President of Products here at ArmorCode, and I'm joined, as often as the case, by Luis Guzman. How are we doing, Luis?
What's up?
Hey, so we've been talking about risk. We've been talking about monitoring the team and kind of incentivizing the team. So let's actually spend some time and break that down. So when we're talking about really incentivizing the team we're talking about predominantly is our development counterparts.
Sure.
We have really, when we think about resolutions, we've got, okay, if I'm going to resolve a finding, there's a first phase, which would be my triage, which is typically handled by the security team or the security champion. And then I have my remediation that might be immediately handled by that security or security champion individual. But more often than not, especially when we're talking about AppSec, is it actually going to be the responsibility of a developer? Okay, so we have that second part of the SLA, and then together we've got our end-to-end. So this is one of the key metrics that I think are very important to measure the success of the team, to make sure that we are remediating things and we're remediating them within the time frame that's appropriate. What are your thoughts, Luis?
Yeah, I mean, that's why we have customized SLAs, right? Being able to change it so we can incentivize correctly. And I had a conversation with Nikhil a while back, and I said, Nikhil, what's one of the things that you would hear when you were a developer that was incentivizing you to do something? And he said, Luis, I'd always hear that if we got a certain product out in a certain sprint, that we would see some of that, right?
You're showing off that you've got money in your wallet.
I just got it for this. It was a prop. But understanding that the incentivization that was happening then is very similar to still what's happening now, right? It's about speed and efficiency and understanding that, but we need to be able to measure that with the teams. The way that you saw, or the way you started the conversation is, are we putting parameters to be able to measure that output and that pause and that SLA? All of that all has to come together to say, this is where we want to go and this is how we want to do it moving forward.
Yeah, I think you bring up, actually got me thinking here about another component to this, which is, it's not just about, am I doing the work? It's am I not just addressing new things that come in, which would be the immediate SLAs, but am I also chipping away at my technical debt or my security debt? Right?
That's huge. That's really huge.
Because what you want to see is, you want to see that the team have got a handle on the new things, but that you're also reducing that debt as well. And the reality is that most organizations first focus on critical and highs because they typically run out of bandwidth to address absolutely everything. So the question is, are the teams meeting their SLAs? What does their average time to remediation look like? And are they, do they have that new functionality or the new vulnerabilities under control? And are they able to chip away at that technical debt? And I think those things all together really applying to really motivating the team. And team size is the key factor that's going to affect that, right? How big is the team? How much can we take on? And if you've got a lot of debt and you've only got a small team, chances are you're not gonna chip away at that. So you have to accept, you say, okay, if I'm monitoring my risk, to come back to our prior conversation, you don't have the bandwidth to remediate that risk. You're going to be struggling to keep up in today's kind of like accelerated delivery mode.
Yep. And then the whole point of being able to incentivize correctly, right? Now you have what you can report on, right? You can report on what you can measure. If you can't measure it, you can't report it. If you can't report it, then how do you know it's even happening? So all of these intangibles in the past are now becoming very tangible today, and being able to move forward saying, yeah, this is how we want to move in the next 3 months. This is how we want to go for the next 6 months. And obviously we want to move fast because it's always about how fast we can get there. But measuring that team is going to be better in the long run for an organization. It doesn't matter who it is, small or large. That's going to be key.
Yeah. And I think, you talk there about development teams being incentivized to deliver functionality quickly. That's just the reality, right? What we have to build into that conversation is delivering, not just shipping fast, but also shipping secure. And this is where risk score comes in, right? Yep. As I say, okay, I have to get my risk below a certain level, or I have to hold it at least, right? And if, as an organization, you see that the risk score is beyond your risk threshold, you need to focus on spending more activity reducing that risk level so it is below your threshold, and incentivize the team appropriately. If you're going to incentivize them to reduce the risk, you need to understand how much work there is involved with that. So if you've got, let's say, 100 critical findings and 1,500 highs, guess what? That's a lot of work. If you address 50 of those criticals, you still got, your risk score is still through the roof.
Still high. Yep.
Which is something we talked about previously, but I think that's a really important point. Is like, if you want to get the risk below the level, you need to understand what the work is to do that.
And with that, we are at time.
We are always, we run over it. We always go, let's be quick. And I think this was good there. So as always, Luis, pleasure. And thank you everybody for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll see you next time.
Sounds good. Bye.